My family kicked me out because my sister falsely accused me of stealing her engagement ring. 3 years later, they discovered it in the garbage disposal. It feels surreal even saying it now, like recounting a nightmare you only half remember but can still feel the cold dread from. 3 years. 3 years I spent as the family pariah, the thief, the one whose name was only whispered with disdain, all because of an engagement ring. Before everything imploded, we were a family. Imperfect, sure, like all families, but there was love, laughter, shared holidays, the usual tapestry of inside jokes and minor squabbles. My sister, Chloe, had always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, while I was perhaps a bit more of the quiet observer, the slightly awkward one. When she got engaged to Mark, a guy who seemed decent enough but always had a slightly forced smile, the whole family was ecstatic. And the ring? Oh, the ring was something else. A blindingly large diamond, platinum band, the kind of thing that screams "look at me." Chloe flashed it constantly, making sure everyone saw it, basking in the attention it brought. I was happy for her, truly, or at least I tried to be, pushing down that familiar flicker of comparison that always seemed to spark around her. The day it vanished started like any other Sunday dinner. We were all gathered at my parents' house, the usual controlled chaos of passing dishes and overlapping conversations. Chloe was recounting some story, gesturing wildly as she always did, the ring catching the light. Later, as things were winding down, the panic started. A small frown from Chloe, then frantic searching, patting pockets, checking her purse. "My ring," she whispered, her voice tight, "it's gone." The atmosphere shifted instantly, thick with sudden tension. People started looking around, under cushions, on the floor. Then Chloe's eyes, sharp and accusatory, landed squarely on me. "You were sitting next to me," she said, her voice rising. "You kept looking at it all night." I was stunned, speechless. Me? Why would I? I tried to deny it, my voice trembling. "Chloe, I would never." But the seed was planted. My mom looked at me, a flicker of doubt in her eyes that cut deeper than any accusation. My dad, usually my defender, just looked uncomfortable, shifting his gaze. Mark put a comforting arm around Chloe, glaring at me. It escalated quickly. Chloe became hysterical, weaving a narrative about how I'd always been jealous, how I probably wanted to pawn it. It was absurd, grotesque, but somehow, in the panic and confusion, it gained traction. My denials sounded weak, defensive. Within an hour, the subtle doubts had hardened into certainty in their eyes. They searched my bag, my pockets, treating me like a common criminal in my own family home. Finding nothing didn't deter them. Chloe insisted I must have hidden it somewhere, maybe passed it off. The argument raged, voices rising, tears flowing, mostly Chloe's, expertly deployed. My parents, caught between their two daughters, ultimately sided with the more dramatic performance. "Maybe it's best if you leave for tonight, give everyone space to cool down," my mom said, not meeting my eyes. That tonight turned into forever. When I called the next day, my dad coldly informed me that Chloe was pressing charges unless I returned the ring immediately. When I insisted I didn't have it, he told me I wasn't welcome back until I came to my senses. Just like that, my life was shattered. Kicked out, accused, with no one believing me. The locks were changed. My calls went unanswered. I was utterly alone, adrift in a sea of disbelief and betrayal. The first few months were a blur of couchsurfing, cheap motels, and the gnawing pain of injustice. I had to rebuild from scratch, finding a new job, a tiny apartment, friends who didn't know my toxic backstory. The accusation followed me like a shadow, a constant whisper of doubt in my own mind. Could I have somehow done something, forgotten something? But no, I knew I hadn't. It was a lie, a monstrous lie that had cost me everything. The silence from my family was absolute. Birthdays passed unmarked, holidays were spent alone or with new friends who couldn't quite fill the void. I saw snippets of their lives on social media, Chloe's lavish wedding photos, a new, presumably less expensive, ring on her finger, family vacations I wasn't part of, smiling pictures where my absence was a gaping hole only I seemed to notice. Each image was a fresh stab, a reminder of the life I'd lost over something I didn't do. I focused on myself. Therapy helped untangle some of the hurt and anger, though the scar remained, tender and easily reopened. I built a new life, brick by painful brick. I found a career I was good at, cultivated friendships based on mutual respect, not blood ties, and slowly, cautiously, began to trust people again. Yet, the injustice lingered. How could they believe her so easily? How could years of shared history evaporate in an instant based on a frantic accusation? There were moments of weakness where I drafted long, pleading emails, trying to explain, to reason, but I never sent them. What was the point? They had made their choice. Then, about 2 years into my exile, something odd happened. I was at a coffee shop downtown, grabbing lunch, when I saw Mark, Chloe's husband, sitting alone at a corner table. He looked different. Stressed, older than I remembered, nervously tapping his phone. Our eyes met briefly, and a jolt of panic, unmistakable fear, flashed across his face before he quickly looked away, gathering his things and practically bolting out the door. It was strange. Why would he be scared of me? I was the outcast, the supposed thief. His reaction didn't fit the narrative I'd been fed, the narrative of the wronged husband supporting his devastated wife. It was a fleeting moment, but it planted a tiny seed of unease, a question mark in the story I thought I knew. Did he know more than he let on? Was there something else going on that day, something that got buried under the weight of the accusation against me? I tried to push it aside, telling myself I was reading too much into it, projecting my own unresolved issues. But the image of his panicked eyes stayed with me. Life moved on, another year passed. I was doing okay, genuinely okay. I had accepted, or was close to accepting, that my old family was gone, replaced by this gaping wound. I didn't expect contact, didn't want it anymore, or so I told myself. The bitterness had cooled into a kind of resigned sadness. I was independent, stronger, forged in the fire of their rejection. I didn't need them. Then, out of the blue, an email arrived. Not from Chloe, not from my parents, but from my aunt, my mom's sister, who had always maintained a cautious neutrality, sending occasional, brief check-in messages over the years that I rarely responded to. The subject line simply read, "Something you need to know." My heart hammered against my ribs. I almost deleted it, terrified of what new pain it might contain. But curiosity, or perhaps a masochistic need for closure, won out. I opened it. The email was short, factual. My parents had been having plumbing issues. The kitchen sink kept backing up. They'd finally called a plumber. While working on the garbage disposal, snaking out whatever was causing the blockage, the plumber had found something lodged deep inside the mechanism, something hard and metallic, miraculously not completely destroyed but certainly worse for wear. It was the ring. Chloe's engagement ring. It had been in the garbage disposal the entire time. My aunt wrote that Chloe had apparently broken down, confessing through sobs that she and Mark had had a huge fight that Sunday, right before dinner. She'd been so angry she'd ripped the ring off and thrown it, intending to hit the wall, but it had skittered across the counter and fallen directly into the sink drain, vanishing before she could grab it. In her panic and shame, terrified of Mark's reaction and the family's judgment about her carelessness with such an expensive item, she saw an easy way out when the missing ring drama started: blame me. Blame the jealous sister. It was easier than admitting her own mistake, her own fit of temper. Mark, apparently, knew she'd lost it in anger but hadn't known exactly where, and had gone along with blaming me to protect Chloe and avoid more conflict. My aunt said my parents were devastated, ashamed, horrified. They wanted to talk, to apologize. Chloe wanted to apologize. Even Mark apparently mumbled something about being sorry. I read the email 3 times, the words blurring. Vindicated. After 3 years, I was finally vindicated. But the relief I expected wasn't there. Instead, there was a cold, hard knot of anger in my stomach. They hadn't believed me. They hadn't trusted me. They needed physical proof, fished out of sink sludge by a stranger, to finally see the truth that should have been obvious from the start. Their apologies felt hollow before they were even spoken. It wasn't just about the ring. It was about their immediate willingness to sacrifice me, to believe the worst without question. Chloe hadn't just lost her ring, she'd deliberately, callously destroyed my relationship with my family to cover her own tracks, and they had all willingly participated. My aunt included my parents' numbers, asking me to call when I was ready. Ready? I wasn't sure if I'd ever be ready. The discovery of the ring didn't magically heal the wounds or erase the years of pain and isolation. It just proved what I knew all along. Now, they want me back in the fold, expecting absolution. But trust, once shattered like that, doesn't just reappear because the lost item turned up in the plumbing. I haven't called them yet. Part of me wants to confront them, to unleash the years of pent-up hurt. Another part feels strangely detached, like looking back at strangers who happen to share my DNA. They found the ring, but I found something too during those 3 years, my own strength, my own worth, independent of their approval. And I'm not sure if I'm willing to risk that again. The garbage disposal gave them back a piece of jewelry, it gave me back the undeniable truth, but the cost was steeper than any diamond.